So right now, as an assistant director, I'm in the pre-production process. So today I will be walking you through what I do typically in the pre-production process and what that would look like as an assistant director. So first thing we have to assess is what kind of project it is. So this is a vertical production, which means that everything is going to be shot vertically. Typically in a vertical production, you have two cameras, so it would be considered a multi-cam series. And these vertical series are feature length. So in terms of page count for this production, we have 96 pages. We're shooting it in 8 days and we're doing it in 4 locations. Big things to consider about this project that would make it complicated is we have a lot of background, we have a lot of cast, more than usual amount of cast, which means as an AD, I need to consider that it's gonna take longer for actors to get ready because we have more people that are going through costumes, HMU, needing to get mic'd. So as I'm looking through the schedule, I definitely need to be considering those factors going forward. Something big is the page count is pretty high for this production. We've got 96 pages in 8 days. So let's look at that. Hey Siri, what is 96 divided by 8? 12. So ideally we'd be aiming for 12 pages per day. However, realistically, it normally doesn't ever work out like that. The way that I've scheduled this production is there are some days where it ends up being closer to 13 or 14 pages per day. And that is something important to consider in terms of speed, efficiency, where we need to be able to cut things, and also focusing on combining shots or simplifying shots in order to maximize the coverage that we need to tell the story, but do it in the most efficient way possible. So something important to consider. Another thing to consider is always having coffee. Hopefully one of those work. So in terms of pre-production, most of the time assistant directors are going to be primarily in charge of their own schedules. However, sometimes productions will give you deadlines depending on how strict or organized they may be. And for this one, I don't have any firm and fast deadlines. However, as we approach 10 days out from production, I'm aware that schedules should be locked, talent should be locked, day out of days should be done, one-liners should be sent off to production, and I should be giving my second AD all the information they should need for call sheets and sides, things like that. Script should be 100% finalized. From this point on, any little tweaks will be told to me and I'll update schedule breakdowns and let the crew know from there. Today is our page turn meeting. So during a page turn meeting, typically the assistant director will be leading it, and I'll be going through the entire script, reading the scene descriptions and telling the crew any important details about each scene. And if anyone has any questions, it's the time where they should be asking them. So there's really not one right or wrong way to schedule these meetings or to host these meetings. The fastest way to do these meetings, and in my head the most efficient way to host these meetings, is you're going to schedule the meeting on Zoom, Google Meet, something like that, ideally in person. From there, what you're going to do, quick 10-minute crew introductions just so everybody knows each other. Most of the time that'll be the first time everyone is all together. And so you want to make sure that you're setting the standard from the get-go. You're going to be showing people how the set is going to run, and it'll be the first impression they get of you really as an assistant director. And so it is super important to make sure this meeting is run super efficiently so you build that trust initially with your crew. After general crew introductions, you should jump right into exactly what everybody came for the meeting, which is table read. So you're gonna have one person, ideally someone who's a fast reader, read the scene descriptions, and you're gonna go scene by scene. Now, typically, it is good to stop each scene, and if anyone has any questions, comments, to go through it by that. Sometimes you can do it by episode, or if you wanna be really, really efficient, have everyone take notes as you go through the table read. And once you finish the end of the script, so we have, close to 97 pages, that means it's going to be about 97 minutes. However, because it's just scene descriptions, if it's a lot of dialogue, it'll be less than that. So just consider it's going to take time. After that, make sure everybody holds with all of their questions. Probably leave close to 20 to 40 minutes for people to ask their questions. And then if there are any big outstanding questions that the whole crew doesn't need to be there for realistically, have them schedule one-on-one calls with either the director, producer, whoever they might have questions with, or with yourself. So I'll give you a quick little insider pro tip here. I think first impressions are going to play a lot into how the production runs and how successful a production ultimately ends up being. I think in order to gain the trust of the crew, you need to be the best version of yourself so that you can help guide the crew to get to the common goal, which is creating whatever the project is, telling the story. And in order to do that, you need good team morale. And you are going to be the face of the team morale. You're going to be the person that everyone's looking to. Has questions that they need answered, they're going to look to you. So being a role model and being somebody that is on it and is excited to show up for work is going to be great. It's going to boost your team's morale. And you're more likely to have a successful production where if shit hits the fan and you guys are sinking in the ship together, that people are going to want to help make sure the project succeeds. If you're at a point in the day where you got to put in that final push so that we don't go into overtime and we don't get to come back to our families as early as we liked, everybody's going to band together and everyone's going to work together. And I think it's a testament to the professionalism on set. So anything you can do to set the standard, set the bar where it needs to be, that's going to be super key. So right now I'm going to go ahead and go into Studio Binder, which typically you can use different softwares to create schedules and create your one-liners. Some really good ones, some industry standard ones is Movie Magic and Synapse. For this project, typically, depending on the project, the production will ask for me to do Movie Magic, which is definitely something you should know. For this particular project, they wanted me to use Studio Binder. So I have been brushing up my skills more on Studio Binder as it's something I'm still learning. But a big key standard is going to be Movie Magic. For this particular project, I am using Studio Binder. So I'm going to go into my files and I'm going to look at my strip board. So in order to create the strip board, you are going to be doing a breakdown of the script. So you're going to be pulling out every character, every prop, every time there's a stunt, etc., etc., etc. Anytime there are background extras and things like that. It's super important to make sure that everything's accounted for and that you don't accidentally account for people that aren't actually there, or if there needs to be a picture card, that you can account for it when it really needs to be there versus when it doesn't. Because at the end of the day, production and producers will appreciate you because you will save them money. And it is important to have money because most of the time, budgets can be very tight, and even big budget productions, budgets can be tight. And so it's important to understand the constraints for the projects, and anything you can do to help save money is going to keep you hired again and again. So I'm going into my strip board, and in the strip board, there are different versions. Right now, my most up-to-date version is version 3. So the versions of this schedule are really dependent on the locations. So as I said, there are 4 locations. Originally, we had 3 locations. So the schedule has shifted quite a bit since the version 2. With the locations scheduled this way, we are able to do more pages at certain locations than we did before, which works in our favor. So we don't have as many heavy days versus like really light days, because sometimes that contrast can be really hard as a crew member. It's better to get all the days as even keel as possible, as best you can, and then on those days where you have really big or really heavy scenes, that you can kind of make the page count lower on that day so you're set up for success. So typically when I'm labeling, I like to make it as clear as possible. So I typically do what day it is, then the exact date, Wednesday, December 11th. Then I do the location. We're shooting at the hotel and we're gonna be there for 1 day. So I do 1 out of 1, depending on how many days you're gonna be there. If it's 1 out of 4, you're gonna put 1 out of 4 there, just to make it super clear and easy to read as the crew looks at this. Awesome.
I'm so glad we got everyone together for this. It's so cool.
Yeah.
We missed a couple. Missing a couple.
We missed but honestly, just this in and of itself is impressive. So, yeah, it's so cool.
Totally. Well, I'm super excited to be working with you guys. Our script is about 95 pages. We're looking at 8 days ahead of us here. Locations right now, we're looking at around 4. So just something to be aware of as we're going through. The nice thing is on those heavier days where we have higher page counts, for the most part, it'll be just continuous scenes. So we definitely have that working in our favor. Quite a few ballrooms as well. So just being aware of characters and things like that, that'll be good as we're reading through the script.
36. The creative director is looking at a website with a picture of a Tunisian diamond, a slightly bluish diamond. Her phone rings when she picks up the call. Linda stands and gestures for everyone to move. Can we cut this scene? Big question. Like, can we straight up cut it out?
Okay, I'm running a little late, but I'm on my way now to go for a location scout. I'll be meeting up with the producers, the director, and the DP for the first time today, and we'll see how things go. We're gonna check out the location, find all the plugs, and see if there's any important information I should do in the safety meeting as well. Here we go, Anaheim to LA.
You guys are cool. You guys are cool to stage in here or on the side of the house.
Good morning. It is 7 a.m. Tried to sleep in because tomorrow I have to wake up at 4 o'clock so that I can be the first one there at the hotel and be up in LA, in the LAX area, starting at 5:45. Or wait, I have to be there 15 minutes early. So realistically, I'm gonna get up at 4, leave so I can be there at 5:30 a.m. One day till production starts, I woke up with 48 text messages from crew. And today, some big things that need to happen is call sheet needs to be sent out on time, 12 hours in advance. I should make sure I have all my call sheets prepped in advance. I should also make sure the safety meetings are laid out and ready to go, and do any finalizing that needs to happen with the crew. Maybe do our final check-ins with crew. For me, I like to review the shot list and review the shot list compared to the shooting schedule and look at the timing of everything and make sure there's nothing outstanding left over and be ready to go. I'm prepared for a crazy day, y'all.
All right, we are getting that car wash.
Good morning, LA. So it is 4 a.m. right now. I am on my way to work so that I can be there at 5:30, which is 15 minutes before the call time. Just trying to make sure that I'm there early because I like to be the first person on set. Whew, it is officially day one. Here we go. Should be a good one. Oh wow, that's awesome. Yay! Okay. Camera set and action. Good morning, everybody. It is day 2 of this vertical production that I'm on. Whew. Day 1 was intense, quite the learning curve, honestly. I think it's hard sometimes when you have a new team and you're working in a location that is just not built for new team energy. So yesterday we were filming in a hotel, and in terms of location, it was a complicated one because we probably had realistically 5 different locations we were filming at, and quote unquote company move is what was happening at least 3 times before lunch and 3 times after lunch, to the point where we even had a second unit go off and split and go record more of the other scenes, which were super simple to get. Really, somebody could have done it on an iPhone. So simple. So it was kind of an interesting situation. Usually there's always a learning curve when working with people that you haven't worked with before, because you need to understand how we do things. Each film set that you go on to, people like to do things certain ways. Some people like to block in specific ways. Some people like to shoot in specific ways. And so you're always mentally going to be adjusting the time. If you see, sometimes art can be slower than other sets. Sometimes PD can be, PD, I meant DP. It's my dyslexia. But yeah, basically certain departments can be slower than other departments. Sometimes you're bogged down by HMU and they take 40 minutes. It just depends, In this set in particular, I was feeling a lot of pushback from one specific department and resistance from that department. So that really slowed down our day, which is unfortunate. And I could tell we were left in an uneasy place last night. And so anytime you're dealing with difficult people or difficult situations where you're faced with a lot of resistance, you're getting a lot of kickback when all you're trying to do is push the day forward, highly recommend the next day, top of the day, first thing, gathering all the department heads together, just meeting up and talking things out. Because I'm telling you, on day 1, you're gonna find out exactly what you need to know about every person on set. And if you're not getting along with somebody, I'm telling you, it's only gonna get worse. So following day, have a meeting. Even better if you can have a sidebar meeting with that person, that particular person, but have a group meeting, talk it out all together, and see. Mainly, you want to start by asking the question, what can we be doing better as a team? And is there anything I can be doing better? Because if someone maybe doesn't like your workflow style or the way that you're an UAD, it might be because they're used to other types of ADs they have worked with before. And maybe other ADs, they've been either way nicer to them or way harsher to them, or you never know what type of work environment they're used to. Also, in terms of like professionalism,
maybe they're not used to being on a set where like the whole team is a really tight one unit professional team. Maybe they're used to being on sets that are more laid back. And so it's definitely good to figure out what is the pain point, address it, and then learn from it. And that's gonna really help your team succeed. It's gonna help keep everyone together as one unit, especially in scenarios where you're looking at the end of the day and you go, we have 30 minutes to finish this scene before we push into our overtime zone. And usually the team looks at each other and goes, okay, we got this, you know, and they listen. But I think when people stop listening, that's where you're in trouble. So definitely holding that meeting, very important.
One more time, very nice. I've been plenty.
So why should we? Nice. Fireworks after a long day. All right. Pretty neat.
Oh God, don't I look like I worked 2 days as a first AD on a film? We hit our D2 mark of filming, and now today I have a day off, which is super nice. Typically on my day off, I kind of assess what we did right in the previous few days and then what we're doing wrong. Things that we can work on, things that we can improve on, things that typically are going to have a lot to do with the timing and the speed / like efficiency of the production. So today I have been making phone calls, reaching out to producers, talking it through with them, seeing if they have a perspective that I might have not seen. Anything I can do to tighten things up, that is what I'm typically doing. On top of that, I'm also prepping. So I'm looking at the scenes and I'm looking at all of the action beats and seeing, okay, this is roughly where this person's gonna stand, this is where this person's gonna go. If there's a stunt, things like that, I'm gonna just make sure I assessed all my breakdowns, include that in the safety meeting, especially if there's any prop weapons or anything like that. It's gonna be super key that I make sure I schedule in a time to have a safety meeting for the weapons that are gonna be in use.
This is what we look like before 12 hours of production. This is us 12 hours after production. I'm starving. I will eat somebody's head off if I do not get a burger in the next 30 minutes. Well, we went to In-N-Out, so the line is long. The line is very long. But we're thriving on chips that are very good. If they had guacamole, it would be a 10 out of 10. That's right. Look how pretty the buildings are. And the plane, oh my God. Good morning, Los Angeles.
And I take a shot. Done? Yeah. Action. Natasha? Sure. And action.
Okay, so I'm here at Chipotle. Today was a crazy day. I have been working nonstop today. From the moment I woke up, I was given some news that we had more scenes to add to the given schedule today. So that meant I had to pivot, and then I had to make sure that everybody on crew knew exactly where we would start and where to go from there.
Wow. You seem full edit. Wow. You really getting into character. me laugh. She's just a lowly intern from Milton Design's office.